Advisory. Some episodes of the 1836 podcast are not intended for all audiences due to details that might be considered disturbing. Listener and viewer discretion is advised.
This episode of the 1836 podcast shares the story of the Mountain Meadows Massacre. In April of 1857, near Harrison in Boone County, Arkansas, a diverse group of approximately 120 to 150 settlers gathered at Beller's Stand, just south of Harrison, to embark on a journey filled with hope and ambition. This assembly, later known as the Baker-Fancher Party, was led by two experienced men, Captains Alexander Fancher and John Twitty Baker. Fancher, from Carroll County, had already made the arduous trek to California twice before, giving him invaluable experience for this leadership role. His co-leader, Captain Baker, was motivated by the lucrative possibility of selling their livestock in California's burgeoning gold rush market, where cattle prices could multiply tenfold. The party was composed of well-known family groups, including the Bakers, Camerons, Dunlaps, Fanchers, Huffs, Jones, Millers, Mitchells, and Tackett's, hailing from counties like Carroll, Marion, Johnson, and Benton in Arkansas. Alongside these families were several single men, adventurers, or workers from the same regions, including Newton County, Arkansas, with surnames like Basham, Beach, Beller, DeShazo, Edwards, and others. The Baker-Fancher Party was notably affluent for the time, with assets estimated at $70,000 to $100,000 in 1857, which would be well over $1 million today. Their wealth included not only livestock but also gold, hidden in the bolsters of their wagons to deter robbers. This journey was spurred by the economic downturn caused by the Panic of 1857, which left many Ozark families seeking a better future in California's fertile lands. For the single men, it was an opportunity for adventure and to experience the trials of the frontier. The party began their westward trek along the Cherokee Trail, a route established in 1849 by Lewis Evans of Fayetteville, Arkansas, in collaboration with 75 Cherokee Indians from Tahlequah, Oklahoma. This trail led them from Arkansas through Benton County, crossing the Grand River at what is now Salina, Oklahoma, where they were joined by families from Johnson County, thereby consolidating their numbers. Their path continued over the Verdigris River at Cootie's Bluff and followed the Arkansas River to McPherson, Kansas, where they joined the Santa Fe Road. From there, they traveled alongside the Arkansas River to Bent's Fort in Colorado before turning north to Wyoming, finally merging with the main California Trail at Fort Bridger. The journey was fraught with the typical hardships of pioneer life. Days were long and dusty, leading to tempers flaring among the travelers. To keep morale high, Captain Fancher, known for his love of music, would often play his fiddle, sparking impromptu dances that brought joy and unity. The management of livestock was a constant challenge. Oxen would occasionally escape at night, attempting to return to Arkansas, requiring days to retrieve. Cattle, attracted by migrating buffalo herds, would stray, necessitating vigilant herding by the drovers. Health issues were minimal, with the sole tragedy being the death of Peter Huff from a spider bite near Fort Bridger, where he was buried beside the trail. Upon reaching Salt Lake City, the party found themselves in a Utah territory under the theocratic governance of Brigham Young. Amidst escalating tensions due to President James Buchanan's order to send federal troops to suppress what he perceived as a Mormon rebellion, this led to a declaration of martial law and a policy by Young of withholding supplies from non-Mormon travelers, including the Baker-Fancher Party. Local Mormons, under the guidance of Apostle George Smith, were instructed to conserve grain in preparation for an anticipated confrontation with the United States military, creating a backdrop of hostility and suspicion. This hostility was further inflamed by the recent murder of Mormon leader Parley P. Pratt in Arkansas, which was perceived by many in Utah as an act of aggression against their faith. Consequently, the party was advised by local advice to take the southern route, known as the South California Road and the Old Spanish Trail, towards California, where supplies were not available in Salt Lake City. In early September 1857, the Baker-Fancher Party arrived at Mountain Meadows in southwest Utah, chosen for its strategic advantages: fresh grass and ample water, ideal for resting livestock before the desert crossing. Here they planned a few days of respite, with women washing clothes and children playing in the sagebrush. However, by this time, rumors had spread about the party's alleged misdeeds, including unfounded claims of poisoning a spring, which were more reflective of distrust or envy of their wealth than any actual wrongdoing. Local Mormon leaders, including Isaac Haight, who was both a military officer and an ecclesiastical leader, had already begun plotting against the immigrants. Haight, along with William Dame, John D. Lee, Philip Klingensmith, and John Higbee, planned to disguise their attack as one committed by Native Americans. The rhetoric among these leaders was extreme, justifying the violence with unfounded allegations against the Fancher Party. This plot was part of a broader strategy to decoy and exterminate the wagon train, as instructed by Colonel Dame, with John D. Lee playing a significant role in involving local Paiute Indians. On September 6th, in the lead-up to the massacre, dramatic speeches at Mormon services set a volatile tone. In Salt Lake City, Brigham Young declared independence from United States laws. And while in Cedar City, Haight spoke fervently about defending Zion. That evening, the Baker-Fancher Party, oblivious to the danger, set up camp at Mountain Meadows. The following morning, September 7th, their peace was abruptly shattered by gunfire from the surrounding ravines. John D. Lee, disguised with other members of the Iron County militia as Native Americans, along with some Paiutes, attacked during breakfast, killing 7 and wounding several. The travelers quickly formed a defensive circle with their wagons, digging trenches for added protection. A 5-day siege followed, during which the party's supplies, food, and ammunition ran low. By September 11th, with most Paiutes having left, the Mormon leaders devised a new plan to end the standoff. John Higbee sent Lee and William Bateman under a white flag to negotiate. Desperate and out of options, the Fancher Party agreed to surrender their weapons and possessions in exchange for safe passage to Cedar City. The men were paired with armed Mormon guards, while children and the wounded were placed in wagons. After walking a short distance, at a prearranged signal from Higbee, each guard shot the man he escorted, and the women and older children were ambushed. Within minutes, 121 members of the Baker-Fancher Party were killed, sparing only 17 children under 7, who were taken to local Mormon families. Their names changed to obscure the massacre's horror. The bodies of the victims were left unburied, leading to scavenging by wild animals. The possessions of the deceased were distributed among local settlers, with some items, including gold, entering the LDS Church treasury. Clothing and jewelry were recognized by the surviving children as belonging to their family members, highlighting the local complicity in the tragedy. Initial investigations in 1859 by Jacob Forney and Major James Henry Carleton implicated Mormon settlers, but political and social complexities in Utah prevented immediate legal action. Judge John Cradlebaugh's early attempt at justice was thwarted due to lack of support. After the Civil War, with the passage of the Poland Act in 1874, which allowed non-Mormon jurors, John D. Lee was brought to trial. After 2 trials, the first ending in a hung jury and the second with an all-Mormon jury, Lee was convicted and executed in 1877, the only person officially punished for the massacre. Despite many others being involved, legal accountability was scant, with some excommunications or participants fleeing to avoid prosecution. The LDS Church's acknowledgement of the massacre evolved from initial denial to the excommunication of some participants in 1872. In 1998, Gordon B. Hinckley, president of the LDS Church, visited Mountain Meadows, leading to the construction of a new monument dedicated in 1999. During this visit, Hinckley recognized the sanctity of the site, suggesting that the past should be left to divine judgment, marking a significant moment of reconciliation. Further acknowledgement came in 2007 when the church issued a statement of regret, though not an explicit apology, signaling a move towards acknowledging the tragedy. Memorials have been erected in both Arkansas at Harrison and Carrollton, and at Mountain Meadows itself, where in 1999 an excavation uncovered more victims' remains. In 2011, Mountain Meadows was designated a National Historic Landmark, acknowledging its historical significance. These memorials serve as poignant reminders of the massacre's victims and the ongoing efforts for reconciliation. The Mountain Meadows Massacre remains a contentious topic in American history, sparking debates about motives, culpability, especially the role of Brigham Young, and its place within discussions of religious violence and cultural conflict in the American West. This event not only reflects one of the darkest chapters in United States history, but also underscores the complexities of faith, justice, and the path to reconciliation and healing across generations.